Republicanos and the PP. They are the main parties that have the largest bloc, which is the Centrão. At first, it was together with Flavio. Now it's already pulled out. It's not together with Flavio anymore. Then Arthur Lira was asked, right? Because Arthur Lira is central. And then Arthur Lira said, I'm not one to sit on the fence. But I'm not going to say anything yet because we will decide together. The PP, Republicanos, and the União Brasil Federation, we will decide together who are we going to support. I'm asking you, are they going to support Flavio? No. Andrea, are you sure? I believe so. Why, Andrea? Because they don't like losers. The people from the centrist bloc always support whoever is in power. They don't like losers. And look, they're right-wing, aren't they? Many of them are far-right. And even so, they won't support Flavio. That's why I say Flavio can't win even through legal maneuvering. Because the Superior Electoral Court, in the end, won't be able to handle the heat because Flavio is causing too much trouble. What did Flavio do now? This week, at the end of this week, he asked for votes. Because here's the thing, during the pre-campaign, you can do almost anything. You can do almost anything. You can ask for support, you can ask for engagement, you can ask for campaign donations, you can do almost anything. There's one thing you can't do. It's asking for votes. Vote for me. Vote, you can't, no. And even that Flavio did. Why? Because he knows he's going to lose. So he's doing everything he's not supposed to do before the Superior Electoral Court. Maybe if he doesn't do it, the Federal Supreme Court will pull the rug out from under Flavio. Then, when that happens, then he's going to play the victim, act like he's poor, miserable, persecuted, just like his father. And he'll say, just like he said in the interview for Canal Livre, that Brazil is living under a dictatorship because his father, who's a convicted crook and criminal, is in jail. That's what he wants. But let me tell you something. My grandmother always used to say to me, my dear, there are some dishes you have to cook in a double boiler. Otherwise, it won't turn out right. These people, let me tell you something. These people, we have to let them simmer because they end up frying themselves. They end up falling on their own. For example, Lula said he won't participate in the debate. If it's a circus and a shit show, sorry for the expression, that's the level of these people. He said he won't participate. Then you say, Andrea, Lula is wrong. If he doesn't participate in the debate, I'll tell you it depends. Because my grandmother also used to say to me, my dear, oh, my dear, you're going down there. Don't go down, my dear. They want that. They want you to go down there into the mud, into the hole where they are, my dear. Don't go down. No, my dear, stay here, my dear. If they want to, they can come up and reach you. Then you get into policy proposals, to the debate, to the confrontation, and so on and so forth. And that goes for Lula as well. Is Lula going to go down there into the hole where Flavio is? No, he won't. He still has to work really hard in life and grow up before he can rise up and reach Lula. The day he reaches Lula, he'll have to say goodbye. The honor of having a debate with a guy who came from poverty from the Northeast, who was president 3 times and might even come back for a 4th term. So, as my grandmother used to say, Lula is not going to go down into the hole where Flavio is. If Flavio wants to, he can improve the way he debates and his speech. Then maybe Lula will debate with him. But if it's just to go down to the chicken coop, to the perch, with all that riffraff that has nothing to do with anything, has no proposals, has nothing, and lies shamelessly, Lula won't do that. And it's interesting, isn't it? How fake Flavio is. Have you noticed? Because Flavio, he tries to have the same kind of standing his father had, right? That Bolsonaro had. Bolsonaro was able to gather people around him, just like Lula can too. Right? With charisma, with that thing, you know? Bolsonaro has that, we can't deny it. He had it when he was a politician. Now he's an inmate. Lula has that. Flavio doesn't. Flavio is fake. Flavio is artificial. Like those little dances he does, ridiculous. Those little dances of his are so artificial that they don't work. So like he's lost. The only thing he has is the support of the coup plotters and the support of the market, of an elite that doesn't want Lula at all because Lula invests in the poor. He understands that this is investment, not debt. And if Lula takes from the budget to invest in the most needy, in those who need it most, Lula sees it as an investment, and the elite sees it as an expense and a debt. Why? Because it will take from their little gravy train budget, from exemptions, subsidies, immunities, and so on and so on and so on. Set it off. And I keep looking at this and thinking, guys, what is Flavio's proposal? He was asked about it yesterday. Yesterday on Canal Livre. He dodged the question. Then they come with that old story, you know, of turning public safety into a campaign prop. And when it's time to actually solve things, they don't do anything. Because if they really had to solve something in the field of public security, let me ask you something. Wouldn't Bolsonaro have solved it? Or did these people forget that Bolsonaro was president of the Republic for 4 years? And Bolsonaro didn't do anything that Flavio says he now wants to do, because they have to do, lowering the age of criminal responsibility. I don't know what, blah, blah, blah. They never did. Go after the drug traffickers, label them as terrorists. What is it that Bolsonaro didn't do? It's all just talk to fool people, to sweet talk the crowd, to deceive, to lie, to mislead. Then Flavio also said, he said that Bolsonaro, that if Lula wins, he's going to stage a coup. Look how crazy that is. They judge Lula by their own standards. The one who would stage a coup if he won was Bolsonaro. And honestly, if Flavio wins, he won't really win either. I rebuke that in Jesus' name. He won't win. If he does, he'll stage a coup. Then Flavio said that if Lula wins, he's the one who will stage a coup and impose a dictatorship in Brazil. Did you forget that this is the 4th time Lula will be president of the Republic? Has he ever staged a coup against anyone? Did they forget that Lula lost 5, 6, 7, 8 elections and never questioned the TSE? The electronic voting machines, the ones who did this and keep doing it, are the Bolsonaros, who don't know how to lose and don't accept the democratic process unless they win. If they win, then everything is fine. It's total desperation, and Flavio is alone. No party is on Flavio Bolsonaro's side. The convention was empty. To launch Flavio, who still doesn't have a running mate. So Flavio went to the Republicanos convention, right? It was a disaster. When Flavio started to speak, a lot of Republicanos members started to leave. And then put it there, Lula Tetra. Don't leave me talking to myself. Don't leave me talking to myself. I missed you. You know, you disappear. You don't say anything. You go to Europe and don't say anything. I missed you, but now you're back. I also came back, thank God. Oh, Brazil is such a wonderful country, you know? Look here, okay? The first Quest poll with Lula and Flavio as official candidates. First round, Lula 40% and Flavio 28%. This was the first Quest poll with Lula and Flavio as official candidates. Lula with 40 and Flavio with only 28. Then suddenly, there it is thing. Okay, vote. Then comes a new poll commissioned by the financial elite that came out today. Do you believe it? Well, if I believe, let me explain to you. Why don't I believe? If I believe a poll like this, I'll have to leave Brazil. Do you understand? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. No. Flavio Bolsonaro rises by 4 points and is technically tied with Lula in the first round. Guys, let me tell you something. In all the other polls, Lula is almost winning in the first round. All the other polls, Lula is almost winning in the first round. And in this poll that came out today, commissioned by the market, by the elite, by Faria Lima, Flavio rises and Flavio is technically, practically tied with Lula. Then you'll have to excuse me, but the situation is more complicated than that. I don't believe it, no. Like my grandmother used to say, I don't believe it, no. Do you believe it? What do you believe, Andre? What do you believe then? Do I believe? Lula, 4-time champion. Put it up, control room, put it up, Lula, 4-time champion. There's only so much patience anyone can have, right, folks? This way, it's hard to have a constructive debate. So then why would Lula still go to the debate? With crooks, with scammers, with payroll skimming, monthly bribes, big kisses. And Vocaro, where is he? Give me a break, right? Put it there, Lula, 4-time winner. No, if you don't put it, I won't go on, okay? I missed you. You don't talk to me. You just keep looking at me. Type something so I know you're there. Lula for a 4th term. And maybe even in the first round? No, I know it won't be easy. Of course I know. It won't be easy. It's going to be really hard. But depending on how things go, I've already told you from the beginning, I think I was one of the first to say this, and I'll say it again. The chance of Lula winning in the first round is very high. Especially considering what's still to come, which are audio recordings and videos of Flavio. So, with Daniel Vocaro, and whom he claimed he didn't even know and was asking for millions of reais. Even Interpol is already getting involved in the story to find out where the money went. Because until today, Flavio hasn't accounted for it. The movie hasn't provided any accounting, guys. Where did the money go? For God's sake, if it went to the movie, then show that it went to the movie. For God's sake, any company keeps books. How much comes in, how much goes out, how much is left, and so on. Where is the movie's accounting records? Just from Daniel Vocaro, it was over 60 million. At least that's what they said, right? Officially. Where the money didn't go up, the film company. The money went to the Havergate Fund from Texas, whose manager, what a coincidence, is Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer. And Eduardo Bolsonaro is living the high life in the United States. Who is paying the bill? Oh, Jesus. Flavio Bolsonaro mocks and counts on being shielded by Nunes Marques at the TSE with the new video of Ia with her father, Jair Bolsonaro. That's right. She posted an AI-generated video. She had already posted an AI-generated video back at his convention. She had Bolsonaro in it saying it wasn't Bolsonaro, it's a robot. It's not artificial intelligence. And this is already established at the TSE. The point is that it can't be used. Fake, right? AI videos in the election process. And then, will it be allowed or not? Just say it, because if it's allowed, the Workers' Party will use it too. That's right. It's called equality of arms. That's what it's called in law, equality of arms. The same tools you can use, I can use too. But from the moment there isn't a definitive ruling by the proper court, what's allowed and what isn't? Because back in Alexandre de Moraes' time, we didn't know what was allowed and what wasn't. Now, in the time of Alexandre Nunes Marques and Andre Mendonça, we still don't know. We don't know if this nonsense is allowed or not. Because if it's allowed, the left will use it too, right? Equality of arms. Do you understand, my dear? And it's going to turn into chaos if it's allowed, you see, Nunes Marques. It's a shame, right? If it were Alexandre de Moraes, he would have put an end to it a long time ago. That's why weak people are complicated. Because a weak person messes up everyone's life. That's why you have to let your yes be yes and your no be no. The Bible itself says that, doesn't it? That's true. You have to let your yes be yes and your no be no. You can't be lukewarm. You have to be hot or you have to be cold. It's there in the Bible, isn't it? That's why people who are weak and lukewarm make life complicated for everyone. This is true in every environment, including relationships, financial, family, in every single environment. You have to be who you are and you have to have a strong attitude. And that's it. It's over now. No. Now Brazil's electoral court is letting it happen, and I want to see what it'll do when the Workers' Party releases an AI-generated video. If it's allowed, then let's do it, right? Are you feeling it? Feeling what, Andre? It's full of sulfur. Woo! Oh my God. Meanwhile, Senator Flavio Bolsonaro, presidential candidate, stated this Sunday that he will accept the results of the October elections. But he conditioned the legitimacy of the process on the electoral court acting impartially, suggesting that the 2022 election was not legitimate. The statements were made in an interview on Band's program Canal Livre, where he also admitted he was wrong to associate the Brazilian voting machines with the Venezuelan company Smartmatic. And even so, he again called for more layers of security and transparency in the electoral system, without specifying what the weaknesses would be. He calls it into question again, just like Bolsonaro did in the minds of his supporters. And the supporters went there on January 8th, and the supporters are still serving their sentences to this day. Well, it's the same thing Bolsonaro did, putting ideas into the minds of the weak, as my grandmother used to say, the weak-minded, the issue of the election, calling it into question. Just like Bolsonaro did with the supporters and got them sent to jail because of January 8th, the same thing. Flavio is doing it the exact same way. Putting it in people's heads that if he doesn't win, there's fraud. If I win, I accept it. If I don't win, there's fraud just the same. And I liked the interviewer there. She was tough on him and he admitted he was wrong. Actually, he didn't make a mistake. He lied, saying that a Venezuelan company manufactured the electronic voting machines. And the electoral court itself said that's a lie. And this is a candidate for president who has the nerve to lie in a situation like this, right, Andre? But it wasn't a lie. It was just a mistake. He's dumb. It's one of two things. Either he's dumb or he's very naive and innocent. Do you think he's dumb? Do you think he's innocent? He never was. So what is he then? Bad faith. Malice. To once again make weak-minded extremist Bolsonaro supporters believe that there will be fraud if he doesn't win. Why is he doing this? Because it's the only path he has. He can't beat Lula. Not here, not anywhere. So what he'll have to do is become more radical to see if he can get the herd to rise up again. Yeah, it's the same way. Have you ever seen that situation with the cycle? Many times our lives have cycles. That history repeats itself until you mature and say, bam, enough, and break the cycle. If not, everything repeats all over again. It's Flavio. It's more of the same and very little from his father. Everyone gives what they have. What the Bolsonaro family has to give is this: coup-mongering, lies, fake news, conspiracy theory. They keep causing trouble over and over again. Then they put on a guilty face and say they're being persecuted. When justice comes, when the police come, then they say they're being persecuted. Just like Bolsonaro. Oh, do you remember Brigadier Batista Jr.? Do you remember? Batista Jr. together with General Freire, they didn't accept Bolsonaro's coup plotting meetings and all that, right? What is Batista Jr. doing? He's going to release a book now in September, and I'm going to read it. He's going to reveal what went on behind the scenes of Bolsonaro's coup plotting meetings. Yeah, Batista Jr., who was even threatened by the Bolsonaro supporters because he and General Freire Gomez refused to join in because otherwise the coup would have really been completely carried out. That's why it was attempted, not carried out, because if it had been carried out, I wouldn't be here and neither would you, most likely. He's finishing the book and will release it this September. Is he going to reveal behind the scenes of the coup meetings of the poor, naive, foolish Bolsonaro? Not that either. Malicious coup plotter, just like his son. And then BP. Yeah, right? Yeah. And we're going to see here, look, I'll show you here. It's here, look. Lieutenant Brigadier Carlos Batista Jr., former commander of the Air Force during Jair Bolsonaro's government, will release the book Judicial in September. An anti-coup bulwark by the Authentica Publishing House. That's right, Brigadier Batista Jr., who said no to Bolsonaro in his frenzy and coup attempt. He's going to write a book and reveal what happened behind the scenes. And he writes, this book is written in the first person. He's there on the scene in that setting, telling what happened. And then these people want to play the victim, right? Yeah, but we haven't forgotten. And Flavio is using the same methods, the same tactics as his father, trying to pull a coup, trying to get into the minds of those weak-minded Bolsonaro supporters, to say again that there was fraud in the voting machines if he loses the election, which he will lose. And why is he going to lose? Because he's bad. He's bad. He's worse than his father. He's fake. He's even more fake. Everything about him sounds fake, even that ridiculous little dance of his. Bolsonaro was still able to fool many people because Bolsonaro gave off a certain sense of truth according to the Bolsonaro supporters, right? Flavio can't even do that. Bolsonaro was able, in a way, with his twisted charisma, to win people over. Flavio doesn't even have that. And another thing, right? There's still a lot more to come from Flavio, you know, guys? Video, audio, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, look here, guys. We made the arrest. Moura and Dallagnol confessed to illegal collusion against Lula and wearing t-shirts against Lula and the Supreme Court. The former judge and former prosecutor admit to joint action between those who accused and those who judged in the car wash operation. These two here, the only thing they have to show is this. It's that they engaged in illegal collusion. Prosecutor's office and judge to arrest a legitimate candidate. That's what they did in 2018. They arrested Lula so Lula wouldn't participate in the election and defeat Bolsonaro in the 2018 election. That's exactly what happened, because as soon as Bolsonaro won the presidency, since if Lula had run against him, Lula would have defeated him. That's why they put Lula in jail, so that wouldn't happen. Right after Bolsonaro won the 2018 election, did the judge get the prize? Was he awarded? He got the Ministry of Justice from the one who benefited from the imprisonment of his main opponent, Lula. And look, behind the scenes, the talk was as follows. That he could still be nominated as a justice on the Supreme Federal Court. Sergio Moro, nominated by Bolsonaro. That was still the conversation behind the scenes. The judge who arrested the person who could have brought down Bolsonaro in 2018 got the prize. But it was just two stubborn people. Two stubborn people in this situation. I even said that here on the channel. I said, guys, this love won't last long. What? Why? Because they're both unbearable. Each one more arrogant than the other. And this isn't going to end well. Soon those two stubborn people will clash, and that's exactly what happened. Sergio Moro left the Bolsonaro government saying that Bolsonaro was interfering in the federal police. He resigned from his position as Minister of Justice, saying that Bolsonaro was interfering in the federal police to shield his son from the salary kickback crimes. There's Sergio Moro giving an interview and saying this. And now the judge, the so-called champion of justice and morality, is now supporting the one he accused of salary kickback crimes and of being shielded by his daddy. Where did morality and justice go, Andrea? To hell? Because in reality, there was never any morality or justice. There was deception, collusion, lava jato, shamelessness, so that Bolsonaro could become president. And now it's the same story, it's the same cycle repeating itself of shamelessness, trickery, and a bunch of lies to see if the scoundrel gets re-elected or elected again. In this case, Bolsonaro once more. Look at the cycle repeating itself, Andrea. It's true. It's interesting how hard it is for people to learn. Because my perception is that Jesus is so good that he lets things happen in cycles exactly to see if you learn. Look at you, silly. Learn, break the cycle, and change your life, please. And there are people who don't notice. And there are people who go through the cycle and go through the cycle and go through the cycle the same way. Sometimes just one little piece changes. For the love of God, people. It's the same cycle when it comes to Sergio Moro himself. Sergio Moro is supporting Flavio Bolsonaro, the very person he said Bolsonaro was shielding and interfering with the federal police for, because Flavio Bolsonaro was involved up to his neck here in the Rachadinha scheme. And that's why he left the Ministry of Justice. And now Sergio Moro comes as this champion of justice and morality, supporting Flavio. It's the same cycle. It's the same cycle. It's the same cycle of Flavio following his father's coup-mongering. It's the same thing. Thank God. Because people aren't fools. Yeah, people aren't stupid, no. This one here, look, Deltan Dallagnol is ineligible. And the guy is lying to everyone saying he's going to run. But the guy is ineligible. He's already known to Brazil's Superior Electoral Court. I just look and say, guys, for God's sake. And they think it's fine. They're confessing here to collusion that can't exist between the public prosecutor's office and a judge. No one's going to arrest anyone. Each action, each situation has to be different. And he said it here, posted it, and made a post saying, we arrested Lula. Arrested for what? Because Sergio Moro's reward already answers that. Lula was going to take him down. Bolsonaro in 2018, then they took Lula out. And they arrested Lula so Bolsonaro could win the election. And everyone helped. The media, the market, everyone helped. Because they thought they were going to control Bolsonaro. But no one could control the beast. And then Brazil became a total shit show. Where in 2022, a large part of the right itself didn't vote for Bolsonaro. Why? Because the beast practically destroyed Brazil. People lining up for bones, remember? More than 700,000 dead from the pandemic, do you remember? Corruption in the Ministry of Education. A series of situations, dismantling, vote buying. Defaulting on payments to governors and the states. Default on the issue of court-ordered debts. Part of the right wing spat out Bolsonaro in 2022. But you are responsible because you thought you could control the beast, and the beast was uncontrollable. And some of you still think you can control Flavio Bolsonaro? Although, right? Flavio is similar in that respect, right? It's very similar. A large part of the market. Crack down and go hard. On Flavio, Andrea? No. I don't like it. Kisses. See you on the next live stream. Bye, bye, bye.